This is Everyday 2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. In today's premiere, we will feature Shakira's mom, Yesenia, aka Mama Jessie, and Mama Jessie's father-in-law, Shakira's grandpa. Now, as you recall, both of these two family members have been invading the privacy of their daughter and granddaughter, Shakira, for over a year now on a daily basis. The invasion has included stealing Shakira's mail while she was at home to interfere with our business correspondence. The both of them listen in to our private conversations on cell phone and on social media. And they have provided housing for a hacker/stalker and a former FBI agent in an upscale area near Shakira's home to follow Shakira around town and track her movements. In this premiere, we will review these invasion of privacy antics by both Mama Jessie and her father-in-law that have horribly affected Shakira, me, and certain neighborhoods in Palm Beach County. Now, on a side note, it is highly suspected that the hacker/stalker that they are using to follow Shakira was placed in a house near Shakira to track her calls from a nearby cell tower and to physically track her by car by being very close to her proximity. Now, to add insult to injury, the house was provided to this hacker/stalker by Mama Jessie at half the market value as a means to compensate the agent for his work in assumed equity. And that was done as opposed to regular consistent payments, so it can't be tracked. So not only is Mama Jessie bringing the value down in the neighborhood by funding shady activity, she is adversely bringing down home values by underselling a property to be used for ill motives. Now, in this premiere, you will also see how Shakira's grandpa keeps coming over to her neighborhood without permission and stalking her at her gated community. Now, he too was with Mama Jessie when she stole Shakira's mail as the lookout guy. Also, on several occasions, the authorities have been called to remove him from Shakira's front security gate for trying to enter without permission granted. Her grandpa has even staged his own security at Shakira's gate to serve as some sort of goons to stop me from entering into her community upon arrival. Grandpa's actions have raised concerns with Shakira's neighborhoods, the Homeowners Association, and head of security. It is incidents like these that have caused me to raise concerns about threats coming from Shakira's grandpa. Now, if any one of you listening right now has had similar experiences with Mama Jessie's father-in-law, also Shakira's grandpa, with physical threats and or underhanded business dealings, feel free to email me your experiences at ebonyman2k@hotmail.com. That's ebonyman2k@hotmail.com. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to unpack, so let's get it. Let's move forward. This is Ebony Man 2K. Let's get it. Oh, by the way, on a quick side note, I would like to say that I will close this video premiere with a feature presentation by Dr. Romani. Dr. Romani is a psychologist and author specializing in personality disorders, particularly narcissism. And I wanted to be clear that I think in the dealings with Mama Jessie, as well as her father-in-law, Shakira's grandpa, we're dealing with two individuals that suffers, I think, in my opinion, from personality disorders of narcissism. There are a lot of things in the way that they move and the way that they think with certain entitlements and also not abiding by rules and also laws that speak to somebody who suffers from some form of narcissism. I find it highly ironic ironic that on a daily basis, Mama Jessie and her father-in-law requires other people to be held accountable for their actions. But yet, when you ask for them to be held for accountable for their actions, they don't want to comply. That is the highest form, also an example of narcissism. And I've left a clip to close this video premiere that you're listening to now with comments and also a commentary made by, again, Dr. Romani, a psychologist and author specializing in narcissism. And you can see some of the points that she makes, particularly about the common characteristics and movements of people with narcissism and how they directly connect with Mama Jessie as well as her father-in-law and Shakira's grandpa. It's almost a sad case that they are the main ones that show this level of narcissism. All right, again, let's get it. This is Everyday Man 2K. This is Everyday Man 2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. The Emperor's New Clothes is a literary folktale written by the Danish author Hans Christian Andersen about a vain emperor who gets exposed before his subjects. Now, in the plot of this tale, two swindlers arrive at the capital city of an emperor who spends lavishly on clothing at the expense of state matters. Posing as weavers, they offer to supply him with magnificent clothes that are invisible to those who are stupid or incompetent. The emperor hires them, and they set up looms and go to work. A succession of officials and then the emperor himself visit them to check their progress. Each seems that the looms are empty, but pretends otherwise to avoid being thought a fool. Finally, the weavers report that the emperor's suit is finished. They mime dress him, and he sets off in a procession before the whole city. The townsfolk uncomfortably go along with the pretense, not wanting to appear inept or stupid, until a child blurts out that the emperor is wearing nothing at all. The people then realize that everyone has been fooled. Although startled, the emperor continues the procession, walking more proudly than ever. This story, The Emperor Has No Clothes, serves as an analogy to Shakira's grandpa. Now, here's a man who is supposed to be this big real estate mogul from South Florida, but yet is falling apart right in front of our eyes. And the sad part of it all is that he either doesn't see it or he refuses to see it. Shakira's grandpa is turned into a circus clown, and it has become shameful fodder all about Palm Beach County. Now, in this premiere, I will show you examples of recent actions of Grandpa that reflect someone who is losing their mind. His actions involve stealing, paying off people, invading privacy, hacking, and stalking. Now, after review of my findings, you will see that the emperor has no clothes and the grandpa has no class. This is Everyday Man 2K. Let's get it. This is Everyday Man 2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Now, as you can see on screen right now, this is a screenshot of Grandpa's offer to sell out his granddaughter Shakira. Now, as I mentioned before, Grandpa has hacked Shakira's Skype account, and he uses it to communicate to me. Okay? And I know you find that hard to believe, but this is the truth, and this is evidence of that fact. So not only does he hack the account where she can't use it, he then takes over the account and he uses it to communicate to me. And as you can see that avatar on the screen, that is Shakira in a nice, sexy photo shoot. However, this is her grandpa actually doing the talking in this situation. Now, in our last conversation,
Shakira's grandpa made an offer, okay, to sell out his granddaughter by paying me a certain amount of money, and I'm not going to tell you the exact amount, but it is in the millions, okay, to stay away from his granddaughter, okay? Now, mind you, he hacked her account, took over the account, and then made me this offer. Now, Shakira and I were on the phone when this happened. So her grandpa had the nerve to make an offer to me for millions of dollars right in front of Shakira, okay? Like she was a piece of property, if you will. And this actually disturbed Shakira when he did this. She actually cried right after this was done for like hours or so, and I had to talk her and console her about what had happened. But her grandpa had actually no shame in making an offer to me to sell out his own granddaughter. Okay? So, listen, I know you find this hard to believe, and hell, I wouldn't believe it unless I saw it for myself. But this is proof. The screenshot here is proof that Shakira's grandpa hacks her Skype account, communicates to me, and makes an offer in the millions to leave her alone right in front of Shakira. Okay? So this kind of gives you an idea of how uncouth her grandpa and mama are, okay? Because her mom has done the same thing. As a matter of fact, when her grandpa made me the offer, her mom chimed in to increase the offer, okay? Freaking frat, two peas in a pod, hacking Shakira's account and making me offers to leave her alone, okay? So this gives you an idea and evidence of how ridiculous this is, and the things that we're going through with Shakira's mom and grandpa. And so this evidence will lead us to the next segment of my premiere. This is Everything Man 2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Okay, and so now I know you're wondering, hey, Everything Man, why do you call Grandpa a sorry-ass bitch? Okay, well, fair enough. I can go ahead and walk you through it right now with my bullet points started from top to bottom. Let's start at the very first bullet point, shall we? Okay, listen, when Shakira's mom stole her mail out of her mailbox at home, Grandpa claimed that he tried to stop her, but he couldn't. Now, Grandpa is a Harvard grad and physically fit, but yet we're to believe that he can figure out how to stop a 36-year-old woman from stealing? Okay. Secondly, Grandpa paid off Shakira's security to not protect her on an assignment just because the assignment included me. Okay? We actually have camera footage of him doing so. Thirdly, Grandpa currently employs a rogue ex-FBI agent to hack Shakira's phones and all of her social media accounts to block communication from me. Okay? Grandpa employs another ex-FBI agent and his own security to follow Shakira around town and report her location back to him. Okay? Grandpa has bought Shakira 5 cars in the past 6 months, including an 8-carat diamond engagement ring, and Shakira still has absolutely no respect for him. And lastly, Grandpa made an offer to end my relationship with Shakira right in front of Shakira's face with no shame. Okay? So I've listed multiple bullet points to support the reason why I call Shakira's grandpa a sorry-ass bitch. And I think this is rightfully so. Okay? So when you look at all these different actions that are underhanded by Grandpa, okay, one can conclude that he is a sorry-ass bitch. Okay? But more importantly, Grandpa is a wealthy lowlife. Grandpa is a wealthy lowlife. And I know that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but I think when you think about it, you understand what I mean. Grandpa kind of reminds you of Donald Trump, okay? Both of them have money, but they have no class. Grandpa has money, but Grandpa has no class. Grandpa is a wealthy lowlife. And here's the thing. Shakira and I feel that the people that are around him, and that includes some family members, are straight up cowards. They are cowards. They allow Grandpa, knowing that he is in the wrong, to hack her accounts and then eavesdrop on her personal, private conversations. Okay? They know that it is wrong. They know that it is wrong, but no one stands up to Grandpa and tells him to stand down. No one does it. And Shakira is disappointed in people around him that are too cowardly to confront him and tell him to stop. Now listen, we both feel that you can have an opinion, right, wrong, or indifferent about our relationship, but it does not give you a right to commit crimes and invade the privacy of me and Shakira. It is not right. Shakira has cried in front of her mom, cried in front of her grandpa to stop invading her privacy, and they continue to do it out of self-interest. They both continue to do it out of self-interest. And the most disappointing part about it is there are people close to both of them, and including family members, who are too cowardly to tell them to stop. And you know what? We're sick of it. We're sick of this situation, and we have taken measures that will include law enforcement to make it stop. Because we have absolutely no choice at this point. Mama J and Grandpa have absolutely no regards for law and refuse to be held accountable for their actions. But you know what? The jig is up. The jig is up. And we will move accordingly. This is Everyman 2K, and I'm out.
This is Everyman 2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard from Grandpa, who hacked Shakira's Skype account to threaten me. Now, it's time to hear from Mama J, who hacked Shakira's Hangouts account and was caught stealing Shakira's mail. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, wait, Ebony Man. You mean to tell me, after Grandpa was warned about invading the privacy of you and Shakira, you mean to tell me her mom doubles down and continues doing the exact same thing? Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Mama J is so stubborn and blockheaded that she refuses to conform to basic respect of the law. Yeah, let me repeat that. Mama J is so stubborn and blockheaded that she refuses to conform to the basics respect of the law. Now listen, I know that this situation is crazy because it is crazy to me and Shakira. Sometimes we both feel like we are losing our mind when dealing with Mama J and Grandpa. So let me give you an example of how Shakira and I have normalized Mama J's abnormal behavior. Shakira and I were recently talking on the phone, sharing our personal and private pillow talk. Now, a lot of times we hit
on very sensitive subjects when we talk. And surprisingly, we get remarks through her DMs from her grandpa and Mama J, who eavesdrops on our conversations through some mechanism configured by a paid hacker. Do you believe that, y'all? Do you believe that? Let me just repeat this so to make sure you get it. That sometimes we get remarks through Shakira's DMs from her grandpa and Mama J who are eavesdropping on our conversation. Yeah, that's right. Now listen, on the phone call, I asked Shakira if she would like for me to share with her a story time about something that happened to me in the past that I thought would be very entertaining, right? Now listen, for shits and giggles, I randomly asked and I said, hey, Mama J, I know you out there listening. Would you want to hear this story too? Y'all, do you know Mama J DM Shakira and said, yep, I want to hear the story time too? She said, yes, yeah, I'm here for it all. Listen, this situation of privacy invasion has run its course so far that it's becoming a running joke. A running joke, y'all. In this premiere, I will share with you screenshots of Mama J threatening me using Shakira's hacked Hangouts account, just like Grandpa did when he hacked her Skype account. I will also show you how Mama J stole from Shakira with the help of her grandpa and other family members. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. This is Everyday Man 2K. Let's get it. This is Everyday Man 2K. Now, before we move into the next segment, I just want to show you a quick screenshot of Mama J using Shakira's Hangouts account, hacking it, and then using her own account to communicate and threaten me. If you see the avatar, that's an avatar of Shakira in a swimsuit, and Mama J is using her profile in Hangouts to communicate to me. So she first starts off by saying, are you deaf? You will not talk to Kira, period. So don't even try. Okay? And then I responded to her that I've already talked to Shakira. And then she says, when? And then she calls me a liar. You will not be able to talk to her. Okay? So this is not Shakira saying this to me. This is her mom, Mama J, using her own daughter's Hangouts account to communicate to me and making threats. And she's very adamant about that I'm not going to talk Shakira because she has actually paid a hacker to manipulate our social media accounts just like she's done here in Hangouts. She's also done it in Skype, and she also has paid a hacker to disconfigure our cell phones so that we cannot communicate directly via cell phones as well. So this is as an example of the things that Shakira and I are going through in our relationship, dealing with her Mama J as well as Grandpa. Both are hacking her social media accounts and also pretending to be her using her own profiles. Yeah, that part. The name Aunt Wilhelmina used in this upcoming segment is to be used for fictional purposes only, and it does not represent any real relationship of an auntie in Shakira's family. Thank you.
This message is for Mama J, Grandpa, and Aunt Wilhelmina.
You've got mail. You've got mail. You've got mail. You've got mail. You've got mail.
This is Everyday Man 2K, and I welcome you to the channel with the same name. Oh my God, guys, oh my God. Last Friday was a hot mess, y'all. Well, remember I told you in a previous video that Mama J has gone so far to stop the correspondence between me and Shakira that she has intercepted her mail in the past, y'all. Well, now she has brought Grandpa and Auntie Wilhelmina into her illegal shenanigans. It seems like that these three blind mice may have entered into a little criminal activity together and have done it on the federal level. They have done it on the federal level. So today, we dedicate this video to Mama J, Grandpa, and Auntie Wilhelmina, aka the three blind mice. But all right, let's get it. This is Everyday Man 2K. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Shakira and I would like to send a special thank you to her followers who are assisting us in communication despite the actions of her mom, grandpa, and their rogue hacker. Again, we love you and we thank you. This is Everyday Man 2K, and I welcome you to the channel with the same name. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Well, y'all, old man John Harvard is rolling in his grave, y'all. Yep, old man John Harvard is rolling in his grave. Now, do y'all know who John Harvard is? Yep. John Harvard is the founder of Harvard University. The same university that Grandpa claims he got a degree from, y'all. Listen, I don't know what happened to Grandpa, but he actually has a degree from Harvard. As he states, he needs to give it back because apparently his intellect has gone from sugar to shit. His intellect has gone from sugar to shit. Yep, he needs to give that degree back, y'all, because he has become an embarrassment to the entire Harvard University community with the latest public actions that he has displayed. Grandpa has participated in stealing Shakira's mail, paying off security under the table to not secure her, and he has hired stalkers and goons to follow me around, y'all. I mean, he has become a total embarrassment that even the late John Harvard had a talk with him. Hey, if you look on the screen right now, you can see what he says. He's told Grandpa, look, Grandpa, you are an embarrassment. Now you give me back my degrees and go kick rocks. Yep, that's what John Harvard told Grandpa. And in my opinion, Grandpa should be considered for censure. He should be considered for censure from Harvard for violating Harvard University's code of ethics. It's gotten bad. It's gotten bad. Now in this video, we will review some of these violations that I speak of. And then you'll know how I feel and what I'm talking about. Now, this is Everyday Man 2K. Let's get it. This is Everyday Man 2K, and I welcome you to the channel with the same name. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. Well, it seems that old Grandpa done fell off his rocker again, y'all. Yep, he has fell off his rocker. Just when you think that all the shenanigans is all over, Grandpa drinks a beer and comes up with some of the dumbest shit you ever heard of in your life. His latest claim is what you would call a masterpiece in fuckery, y'all. It is a masterpiece in fuckery. Now, let it be noted that Shakira has security detail on her actual premises at her home, in addition to security at the front gate of her gated community. Now, Grandpa, who has dedicated his life to being a player hater, doesn't like me for some reason. He can sometimes come across as a creepy, jealous suitor and a cock blocker of Shakira instead of just an actual grandpa. Well, listen, he decides on his own to hire his security for Shakira and stages that security in front of the front gate security team. Do you hear what I just said? Grandpa hired security to stand right in front of security. You can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. They say a fool and his money are soon departed. It seems like Grandpa's brain has already taken the midnight train to Georgia. So here's what's really going on, and Grandpa knows exactly what he's doing. He must think Shakira and I are stupid, but we both actually laugh at him when he gets off the phone with Shakira. Grandpa has staged this fake-ass security really as a means of threatening me when I come back home from business travel, y'all. Grandpa claims of providing extra security for Shakira is bullshit. It is bullshit. As I mentioned earlier, Shakira has extensive security coverage already, so there is no need for extra security 15 away from where security is already placed. You know, Grandpa purports to be a Harvard University graduate, y'all. Well, with this type of dumbass thinking Grandpa is displaying these days, old man John Harvard is rolling in his grave. Yep, old man John Harvard is rolling in his grave. Grandpa, with his stupid and evil ways, is always doing the most to keep Shakira and me apart. But just like the artist Sade sings, nothing can come between us. Nothing can come between us. This is Everyday Man 2K, and I welcome you to the channel with the same name. Please put your screen on full view. Please put your screen on full view. If you look on screen right now, you will see a visual diagram. This diagram shows how Mama J and Grandpa has set up an inside job on Shakira 2K to follow her every move as an attempt to break up our relationship. There are 3 major moves that have been made, and I will walk you through them in a clockwise motion as seen on screen. Number 1, the real estate agent Mama J places this rogue FBI agent by the name of Jeremiah, aka Suzuki, near Shakira's home. Number 2, Grandpa then pays a snitch from Shakira's securities team to alert the nearby rogue agent when she leaves home. Number 3, that rogue agent then follows Shakira and reports her whereabouts back to Grandpa. Now, as a note, we have video footage of Mama J stealing Shakira's mail, and we have footage of Grandpa paying off her security on Shakira's home security system, and that's facts. Now, listen, I want you to notice how stupid and convoluted this thing that Mama J and Grandpa are perpetrating. Shakira has literally cried with tears telling them how this rogue FBI agent is stalking her when she goes out and leaving creepy messages in her Instagram. Now, both of them pretend to be shocked, even though they're actually in cahoots with his efforts. It is utterly shameful that Mama J and Grandpa will put Shakira in harm's way by sending a rogue ex-FBI stalker and a proven online troll to follow Shakira's whereabouts and control her movements as an attempt to try and stop our relationship. Let me repeat that again. It is utterly shameful that Mama J and Grandpa will put Shakira in harm's way by sending a rogue ex-FBI stalker and a proven online troll to follow Shakira's whereabouts and control her movements as an attempt to try and stop our relationship. Mama J and Grandpa are 2 sick and twisted-minded people who should be ashamed of themselves for embarrassing the family's name in such an underhanded manner. Mama J and Grandpa's actions are now becoming public shame all over Palm Beach County and the Florida real estate community, especially with the news of the ongoing civil lawsuits against Mama J. Now listen, the great mind Martin Luther King was quoted as saying that a lie can never live forever, for it will always be conquered by the truth. As I keep exposing the grossly misguided actions of Mama J and Grandpa, we shall move closer to that nirvana. We shall move closer to that nirvana. This is Ebony Man 2K, and I'm out.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Romany. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on all things related to understanding narcissism, narcissistic personalities, and difficult relationships all around. So let's take on this question, which is a big one. A lot of people ask me, is there such a thing as when a narcissistic person hits rock bottom? You better believe there is, and I want to break that down for you. The term rock bottom often comes up in the addiction world. It's that moment, that event, a time of recognition when the person who is excessively using substances or is addicted hits a point where they recognize that either they change or they die. And when it comes to addiction, some people die. And that's one of the worst tragedies of addiction. Many more recognize that they have to do something, that this is it, that they can't just go for one more hit. And they do it not because their friends are telling them, or a doctor is telling them, or a therapist is telling them, or a family did an intervention, but because they themselves make that decision and say, it's time. And they commit to the work of recovery and long-term sobriety, and it's work. And for rock bottom is not always where it ends for some people, but it is often an important starting point. And the work might be working a 12-step program, some other form of commitment to long-term recovery programs, long-term therapy. It's a different path for anyone recovering from addiction. But talk to anyone who is committed to long-term sobriety, and they'll tell you it's daily work and it's daily commitment. And it often means an overhaul of a life. It may mean a new job, a new line of work, a new place to live, a new group of friends. The new life may actually be relatively unrecognizable and characterized by sobriety. But what about rock bottom with a pattern such as narcissism? Could there actually be such a thing as a rock bottom? What would it mean? What would it look like? There are more than a few people out there who liken narcissism to addiction. So that they would say that the narcissistic person is blindly driven and craves outside admiration, and validation becomes their addiction. If they can't have it, they crave it. They will go to great lengths to get it. They'll become irritable, depressed, and angry if they can't have it. They are constantly in denial. They will rationalize their behavior. There is absolutely a lot of impulsivity. There's egocentricity. Those patterns right there, those are shared between narcissism and addiction, right? We see them in both patterns. I would argue that there are many, many similar top notes to narcissism and addiction. But in the absence of, we're still waiting, I guess, but in the absence of neuroscience hammering down the pathways of addiction as being the same in narcissism and addiction, and so far in the science, there isn't much to suggest that this is the case. There's some intriguing studies, but we're not quite there. It may fall into the premise that narcissism, compulsive substance use, and any compulsive behavior may have some common foundations and may all reflect regulatory deficits that come out in these dysregulated ways. But all of that said, it keeps coming back. I want to bring it back to that question. Is there such a thing as a rock bottom for a narcissist? And I would argue possibly yes. Let's start with something that many of us know, but I actually do not think I talk about enough. I have not really talked about it much on this channel.
Do you know why so many smart people never hit their full potential? It's not lack of resources, opportunity, time.
Talked about it much on this channel. People who are narcissistic are not necessarily having a good time. In fact, I would argue that they are much, much more miserable than the rest of us. To be narcissistic is a very anxious way to live. They are afraid of criticism, of abandonment, of being publicly found out, of publicly called out, of losing their stuff, of losing their power, of losing their status, of getting old, of getting sick. I would argue that this is something called narcissistic anxiety, a topic we'll actually tackle in another video. Narcissistic anxiety is sort of much more around things that are more related to the narcissistic personality, or different than the sort of general neurotic anxiety the rest of us might experience. So when you account for all of the anxiety in the narcissistic person, which they fight back on with their really unpleasant defenses, right? They push back on all that anxiety with grandiosity, entitlement, arrogance, self-protective rage. It's very pleasant, not only for everyone around them, but frankly, for themselves as well. And they do suffer. I have spent throughout my career working with clients who are narcissistic, and they're very, very vulnerable. And instead of sharing their vulnerability in a way that draws people closer, the closer their vulnerability gets to the surface, it comes out as a volcanic rage, as though they're disgusted by their own vulnerability being shown to the world and bringing up shame. Rock bottom is definitely a thing for narcissistic individuals. When I think of the anecdotal cases out there that I've read or heard about, or people I've worked with over the years, it's an interesting laundry list of issues that comes up that could have thrown a narcissistic person into rock bottom. Some of the things that can really push a narcissistic person to rock bottom include going to jail, losing a business, being fired, being evicted, having a home foreclosed on, losing a lawsuit, having a partner leave them, losing custody of children, filing bankruptcy, adult children who cut all ties with them and keep grandchildren from them, being the target of a publicly humiliating news story. For example, they get caught doing something and it's covered in the news, getting publicly called out in an extramarital affair. For folks like that, the wheels come off and they really, really find that they cannot get the ship upright again. Their charm isn't saving them this time. Remember that one of the things that enables narcissistic behavior is the lack of consequences. And because so many people who are narcissistic get so many second chances, and they get so many people giving them the benefit of the doubt, or they're able to hire attorneys who get them off the hook, it often means that people who are narcissistic will do bad things over and over and over again, and whether through luck or real, getting in there and fixing it, and they just never face consequences. And the blame shifting that is such a part of narcissistic personality styles means that they're really made of Teflon. Nothing sticks to them, and they can almost always successfully convince people or just bully them down, leading other people to believe that someone else is responsible for the narcissistic person's bad behavior. But sometimes all the lawyers, money, and power can't make it right. The things that the narcissistic person wants most, for example, the idea of being part of a family, or the idea of about their career, or their reputation as a humanitarian, all goes away. The whole fantasy goes away. And they are left sifting through the wreckage. Not everyone who is narcissistic will hit this rock bottom that may spur this meaningful shift or change in them. Some do, but not all do. Just like the addicts who end up dying because they overdose or get sick before they start changing behavior, some, and it is likely that most narcissistic people who face these absolutely devastating losses or falls from glory or falls from success will likely spend the rest of their lives resentful, sullen, angry at the world, victimized, and remain rageful. In these cases, their rock bottom leads to a lonely, angry, isolated life, with most of their bridges burned, and anyone who actually does spend time around them is either being paid to do so or they themselves have no other options. There is, however, a small number of narcissistic people who fall all the way down, and something happens to them, and they do become self-reflective. They take a long look around. Most often, this happens while they're working along a good and very patient therapist, and they recognize the mess that they've made. They start to see their role in it, and they begin to be able to absorb it. There are many people who ask me if there is a 12-step program for narcissism. As far as I know, there is not, and I don't know if the principles would work for a personality style change, given the rigidity of these styles. But since we do know that narcissism and addiction are so frequently co-occurring, perhaps there could be some utility in some of the principles and in the regularity of sort of doing the daily work on it. But in that small group of narcissistic individuals for whom it all crashes down, they've really kind of hit that rock bottom, and there is a shift in humility, responsibility taking. There's sometimes an attempt to really make amends. Making amends may be, in some cases, reaching out to people to take responsibility and ownership. But making amends may also be, and may also involve, stepping out of the limelight, not having to be the center of attention anymore, giving up on some of their superficial nonsense, shutting down the social media accounts, no longer feeling the need to be the center of attention, listening to other people when they speak, being more mindful, and taking pleasure in the small things that they never noticed before or would be annoyed by. For those of you watching this who believe that you yourselves are narcissistic, I do believe this is possible. It is possible to make these shifts, but just like sobriety, it's work. It's daily work, and you have to believe in it. You can't fake it. People who are sober over time genuinely embrace the value and importance of committing to sobriety in their lives. People who are in recovery from narcissism or with narcissism would have to embrace the value and importance of empathy, intimacy, compassion, self-regulation, self-soothing, and self-compassion.
Tú dime si esto tiene sentido. Hemos mejorado nuestras bombillas para ahorrar energía. Hemos mejorado nuestros dispositivos para ahorrar energía.
Rock bottom is when the validation gravy train ends for the narcissistic person. We see it happen in the news all the time. In fact, I read the news with an eye to seeing which of these narcissistic folks is going to hit rock bottom. The financier goes to jail. The sexual perpetrator who's a studio head goes to jail. The celebrity who walked around saying that their brand is compassion or kindness is publicly called out as harsh and unkind. And it's not just happening on a public stage. Many of us have seen it happen in ordinary ways, in ordinary lives. The tyrannical colleague at a small business finally gets fired for harassment. Your friend finally leaves their serial cheater spouse. The cruel patriarch of a family finally has his family turn their backs on him because they have their own jobs now and they no longer need his money. And now he's all alone in his big house, being left to figure it all out. Some narcissistic people are successful enough to shield themselves from the fallout from the sort of proverbial rock bottom with money. But ultimately, there is no money in the world that is a substitute for validation from other people for narcissistic people. And when a narcissistic person hits rock bottom, the money may no longer purchase the validation in the same way. People may not want to get near someone who's been in such a scandal. Narcissistic people who don't have money will experience a significant shift in their circumstances. The comfortable home or the spacious home they lived in becomes living in a much less comfortable place, in a much less desirable place. The nice car becomes a not so nice car or no car at all.
The new job is a major downgrade from their previous elite ones. And the shame over this downgrading may result in either anger or the narcissistic person almost sort of disappearing off the radar so people do not see what has happened to them. It is incredibly unlikely, unfortunately, that a person who is narcissistic would attempt to take the existential high road and find meaning and purpose at the time that they were down. And yet, if they could do that, they would really be able to walk out of this in a different way. But if they could do that, they may not have gotten into this mess in the first place. The experience of aging can also be associated with getting to sort of the narcissistic rock bottom. For some folks, we see the acquisition of doing something sort of the acquisition of a much younger spouse or partner or a much younger lifestyle as a way to keep the hope or the myth of eternal youth alive, a central need that exists for narcissistic people to always be young. For other people, they may maintain their commitment to youth via numerous surgeries, numerous cosmetic procedures, lots of exercise, wearing youthful fashion. It's a way to stave it off and maintain the illusion of youth. But the body does what the body does, and you can't ever fully outrun aging. This experience of frailty, of erections that just don't want to arrive, of skin that sags, of mental acuity that fades. All of this can also contribute to the arrival of rock bottom for a narcissistic person, especially if aging is associated with a loss of power, a loss of attractiveness, a loss of vigor, or recognition that they just can't manage this. They can't manage that they're not going to be that sort of big, powerful person anymore. If you're in a relationship with someone narcissistic, please, however, I promise me, you will not waste your time waiting for them to hit rock bottom so they may change. You may get pulled down into that rock bottom with them, okay? So there's really no such thing as an intervention for narcissists. You can't ambush them and confront them with their lack of empathy, their entitlement, their arrogance, and all the rest of it. Can you imagine how that would play out? Can you imagine taking the narcissistic person in your life and four of you sort of taking them down for that? The word salad would probably last for hours. If the relationship is unhealthy, set boundaries, make choices, create workarounds, but stop waiting for the bottom to fall out. Maybe it will, but even if it does, it may not yield the result you want. The process of getting to narcissistic rock bottom is a very personal one, and it's a journey that they have to go on alone. I have witnessed many narcissistic individuals hit rock bottom in my years of doing this work. And like all rock bottoms, it is not pretty. Most of what I have witnessed is a lot of self-victimization. The world wasn't fair to me. Why was everyone out to get me? Life isn't fair, the world isn't fair, he isn't fair, she isn't fair, they aren't fair, nobody's fair. Where is my justice? Why did this happen? That kind of stuff. They'll talk about witch hunts. There are a few with sometimes they'll say, I need to get my stuff together. But when action is required, they will say, it's not fair that everything's not coming together more easily and getting fixed. And in the most extreme cases, upon hitting rock bottom, please be aware that some narcissistic individuals do become suicidal or will evidence extreme psychiatric reactions, including reactions that may look like manic or psychotic reactions. The loss of identity, the shame, and the lack of coping skills can overwhelm the person. At such times, if this is happening to you or to someone in your midst, please contact your local emergency services or the suicide hotline for further assistance. Don't attempt to intervene on this on your own. Such crises, no matter how difficult your relationship was with this person, should never be minimized. Please make sure you get appropriate help at those times. Short answer is that there is such a thing as rock bottom for a narcissistic person. No, not all people will experience it, and most will not change in the face of it. But it is a turning point for better or worse for people with this personality style. So it's a lot to think about. It does happen. I've seen it myself. Those of you who have seen it, you know what this looks like. And again, everyone's got their own journey, and you're not going to change that journey, nor are you going to rescue anyone from it. Thanks again.
Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair. Send in the clouds. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps staring around, one who can't move. Where are the clouds? Send in the clouds. Just when I stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one I wanted was yours, making my entrance again with my usual flair. Sure of my life, no one is there. Don't you love farce? My fault, I fear. I thought that you'd want what I want. Sorry, my dear. But where are the clouds? Quick, send in the clouds.